saw an article. I was just Googling something, and I think the site is, it says Japan Today.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody wrote an article.
Japan Today?
Japan Today. So I'm going to make sure I give credit where credit's due.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
And the headline says hip hop's love and hate relationship with education.
Okay.
So they had a spin on it, but I thought about some of the stuff that they listed, and I want to see what you guys think, because they made a good point when they talk about all of hip hop's billionaires. So Jay-Z, I think you could say he's regarded as the first hip hop billionaire, either him or
Dre,
right? He didn't graduate from high school, right? Kanye, college dropout, no pun intended. Dr. Dre left college after 2 weeks. You know, we talked about that. And then Diddy dropped out of Howard.
Okay.
And despite all of that, these are the same people that have invested into charter schools, helping HBCUs, scholarship funds. You know what I'm saying? Like Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine put bread in the USC for the academy that they built. I know Puffy built a school in New York. You know, and Jay is always, he's got a school, like Ninth Wonder is teaching for him at an academy that they created.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a weird dynamic that all these people that were that dropped out of higher education or even high school want to give so much back. And Jay Brickers, I'll come to you first. Like what
That's cool. Yeah, I'm ready. But.
Yeah, what do you think about that relationship? Like the dichotomy between hip hop and education.
Look, we hip hop, we gonna get it by any means necessary.
Okay.
And what do you mean by education? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a running joke now. Yo, I got a PhD in such and such. I'm trying to get a job for $15 an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we all know this now. This is common knowledge.
True.
Like, you're gonna get your most education outside of the traditional college experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like all right,
Jay Brickers hate education.
no, because I dropped out. Like, I went to a college for a year, bro, and I dropped out because it wasn't for
it's
me.
not for everybody.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to get my education on the streets. No.
School of hard knocks, baby. You know how we do.
Hey, Lone, blurt it out, man. We don't want to put Jay Brickers' business out there like that. Blurt it out.
I use that term very loosely.
I feel you.
But I just had to kind of learn my own way, and I got an education of sorts. You know what I'm saying? I'm still getting education. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
I went from working at a head shop to working for a corporation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't put my college, years on my resume. You feel me? I told him, I was like, hell, I did this for these people right here, blah, blah, blah. And I did that with no money.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they was like, we want you. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, we love education. You just gotta find it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, the traditional education system is not everything. So, but
True.
Going back to them, like, building schools and things like that, it can be something for you. Like, I got, in that year of college, I met friends of mine,
That's what I was going to hit on.
I made connections with people that I still connect with to this day. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
100%.
there is,
you can create like worth ethics and stuff around it and stuff,
more ways to skin a cat. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
But you can do the same thing elsewhere too.
I mean, I always tell people, like, I'm pro education, because to me, I'm pro education, because you gotta learn as much as you can, right? You can't by any means learn as much as possible, right? Like, whatever you can learn it. Dick Gregory told me that, for God rest his soul. He was like, the power is
Kanye now dropping names.
Don't do that. Don't do that. He did tell me this though, so I am Kanye.
Dick Gregory's black, so Kanye wouldn't have dropped his name.
Thank you. But anyway,
Jay Diff, here they go.
Yeah, I ain't going to go down that road. But he told me, he was like, it's not about money, it's about information. What do you know? What do you learn? Like, is your mind, are you constantly learning? Like, he told me that. So as it relates to what you said, though, I could agree, because a lot of the people outside of people that I grew up with that are my close friends, like, I grew up with Lone. I've known Lone since he was in elementary school, middle school, right? He's a close friend of mine. But I also met a lot of close friends in college, and I learned a lot about myself in college. I grew up and, hit the wall in certain things. So it was a good experience overall. You know what I'm saying? So I think there is value there, but from an educational standpoint, classes and all that, it's like, I almost would weigh the experience over the
actual
curriculum, or if you want to call it.
It also depends on like the structure around it too. Like depend on how you need to learn. Like some people really love this. Like me personally, like I went to school for 2 years at Purdue at like a site school.
Yep.
Like, you know, wasn't at the main university. But then my third year, out to some homies, we moved to Indy for the first time I moved here in like 2003, went to IUPUI, and there was no structure.
Yeah.
And that was horrible.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'm not doing this. So I went back and finished doing what I was doing before because I couldn't function in that type of
Didn't fit your learning style.
I couldn't do it.
Right.
So-
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, different strokes for different people, but you know, at the same time, I do have 2 college degrees, but do I utilize
Flex
those?
on them.
Man,
Flex
he
on
stung
them.
it right there, didn't he?
But do I utilize them in my day to day? Yeah, kinda, but not really. You know, a lot of the stuff is what I taught myself. You know, and there's definitely some stuff that I learned along the way
Goes
as a
back
part
to
of
his
it.
point.
A part of it.
And is it just hip hop? I mean, like how many of these billionaires, you know, like
Bill
I don't
Gates
know.
dropped out of college. Now, mind you, he dropped out of Harvard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a little
You know,
different, a little
there's a
different.
difference between dropping out of Harvard and dropping out of 10th grade remedial math.
Why it got to be remedial though?
Well,
Then never mind. Don't do that. Never mind.
No,
Leave that alone.
but the thing is, when they say, okay, these people dropped out of college and they were able to create, you know, educational opportunities for others, you got to understand that, yes, okay, Jay-Z dropped out of high school, but, you know, it's good that he's investing in educational opportunities for others because everybody's not going to be Jay-Z.
You're right.
absolutely.
You're right.
And you have to be clear about that.
Yeah.
You know, I understand that, you know, there are people who think they can rap and they're going to take it to the top, but you got to understand that even if you have that genius level talent at rapping, that doesn't mean you're going to be successful. You know,
talk
if
to
you
him, Jay Moore.
invest
True.
that same effort into, you know, say you also have that same mindset to where you could be an engineer or
Yeah.
you could be a lawyer or a doctor.
Yeah.
You know, and someone like Jay-Z or Dr. Dre, and they've set up scholarship funds to where you don't have to go into 6 figures worth of debt, you know, to help out
Man.
the people who want to do that instead of trying to get their rapping on.
Puffy's
You know.
is about that. It's relief for people that have debt as it relates to college. Like
You
that's
know.
where they pull from.
So
which is dope.
I think, you know, the thing is, like, you got to understand, even the most hood rapper sends his kids to private school.
Tell them about that Jeezy line.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So I'm just saying,
I see
like,
what
think
you
about
did
it. They'll be telling you to keep it hood
Yeah.
while they send their kids to private schools.
Talk to them.
So I don't care what they tell you on them records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, every rapper has a certain, if they have children, they have a certain level of appreciation for education because they don't want their kids to have, they don't even want their kids to have the option to rap about the things
So what
they
you
rap
so what
about.
you telling me is Junior is not going to the public school in not Bankhead, but
Wherever.
Savannah.
He's not
East
going, he's
Savannah.
not, yeah.
Wait a second. Let's go ahead and put that line out there just in case you guys don't
Talk
know
to
about
him,
the
man.
Jeezy line.
Yes, sir.
Hey, the line was, and I can't remember who said it. I know Keezy Arizona from Nap kind of did a song that said it, but the line is, Jeezy told me trap or die, but told his son to go to college.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Well, but to Jay's point, Jay Moore's point, it's weird having to say. I mean, even though there's a Jay Diff, I always call him Terry on the
Just
show.
to me,
so-
Jay. You know?
But education is still, it's one of those things, like, get it how you get it, but education is one of those things, if you can have it, it's going to give you you're going to have a little bit more of an advantage in a lot of aspects because you're going to have specific guidance in certain areas. Most of the time, not all the time.
I was about to say
there's always
there
like
is, yeah.
exceptions to
I'm
the
with
rule.
you though. I'm with you though.
look, if
Like,
you want to be a doctor, lawyer, teacher, engineer,
You might want to go
accountant,
to school.
then these are things that you should, you know, but honestly, you know, I learned how to be a salesman by working in sales.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I learned how to look at market trends by actually looking at market trends and seeing, okay, well, we need to keep carrying this type of liquor. And this kind of-
Self-education.
you know, not so, but just being observant and shutting my mouth and watching people who are already do. You know, sometimes that's an education that people discount because it doesn't come with a certification and a piece of paper.
I can
sir.
I
You
can
know
apply that to so many. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say it's so funny that you say that, but I literally had a course in college
Yeah.
that was about how different people learn,
Yeah.
which is you know, like most people are hands-on, but then there are visual learners and there are auditory learners, and it like went through all the different details. It's just funny that we're talking about formalized education, and that was literally a class that I'd
Look at you using your degree.
that was the only class from IPY that
But think about our last conversation. You know, we didn't have classes that taught us about stocks.
Finance.
There weren't classes that teach us about, you know, how taxes are generated. They were not even about how to secure a mortgage.
Hey, true, but money management wasn't elective in high school.
These are things that people have to find out on the fly.
I didn't elect it.
You know, and they wound up making mistakes because they taught us about nothing. Not that I'm knocking people who want to learn the history of Western civilization and English literature.
I know where you're going,
but you know, like, if we're really going to prepare our children, and these are things we'll just probably have to start to teach them in the home. It's like, okay, this is why they take your taxes out. This is when they take your taxes out.
Yes.
And you know what? If you don't want them to take this many taxes out, this is what you need to do.
It's that simple.
If you want to be able to buy your first home by this time, you need to know A, B, C, and D, because those are the things we are not being taught.
You know, and he makes a good point about how you apply things to everyday life versus sometimes the things that we're told, because my father wasn't the most educated person, God rest his soul, but I learned jewels from him, day-to-day jewels, work ethic. You know what I'm saying? How to provide for a family. Like he talked about the mortgage, like planning ahead. All those things I learned just from soaking it up from my pops.
Yeah,
there was no class for that. You know what I'm saying? So there's ways that you can, you know, absorb and get them jewels. But I'm also with you on the part about, you know, the education as it relates to what field you might get into.
Look, your education
it definitely depends.
Your education is sometimes much different than your certification.
Good point.
That's true. Like I said,
I'm not mad at that.
I went to school. I don't use my degree at all, like in the way that it was meant for me to use it.
Oh, don't get me started.
I took nuggets here and there, but I don't use it.
Yeah.
So
I'm with it, man. I'm with it. Brookins, you got anything to say before we wrap this one up?
No, I think we touched on everything.
Shout out to the chat too. I see y'all in there.
If you've enjoyed this segment of the New Old Heads podcast, make sure you join our live show every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/newoldheads. You can also catch playback of all of our shows on any podcast app and youtube.com/newoldheads network. And go to newoldheads.com/community to join our Discord.